So, welcome, Michelle. I would love to talk to you about your experience in the Heartifacts program. And some of the things I really wanted to ask you, first of all, is what brought you to Heartifacts? What made you decide to join the program?
hmm well, I was first introduced to Robin through a Heart Soul Pen workshop, and I was taking that workshop regularly. And when I started in the fall of 2025 taking that workshop, so by the end of 2025, I was taking stock of what I wanted to continue more of into the new year in 2026. And for me, that included writing with Robin more, and I was interested in taking my writing to the next level. I had a poetry book I was interested in putting together, and I wanted to do that with Robin in the Heartifacts program.
And did you feel like, was this poetry book something that had been percolating inside of you for a long time?
Yes, I had worked on the poetry a couple years back, and I was looking to put it together in a careful, thoughtful way that was very much me. So I believe working with the Heartifacts program was aligned with that, and aligned with putting the poetry together in such a way that was very representative of my inner voice.
And do you feel like, in terms of really moving the poetry book forward, what would you say would be some of the obstacles you faced or would have faced if you just tried to do it on your own?
That's a good question. I think. I think on my own I would have been okay, but I feel like I'm in better hands doing it through the Heartifacts program. I think I'm finding ways to weave my inner voice in the transitions, and also I'm finding ways to ensure my personal narrative is told by the arc of the poetry, by the beginning, the middle, and the end I'm choosing. And I'm able to identify what's missing through the Heartifacts modules and programs and Zooms. I feel like I'm able to, yeah, tell the narrative in the way that's most representative of me and my true voice.
And would you say that there's anything that maybe you decided to either put into the book or take out of the book from some of the feedback you got in the program?
Yes, I think right now I'm in week 9 of 16 of the program, and I'm kind of I feel like I'm in the crux. I'm in the meaty part. I'm in the meaty middle of it where I'm earlier today I was going through everything I'd written thus far and composed thus far, and I started working on a forward and an afterword, which I don't know if I necessarily would have done if it was just me making the book on my own, where I felt like there was more story to be told in between the mini stories of the poems. And I've also been in the consideration process of what visual additives I put into the book, whether it's pieces of information from the time I was writing the poems, or whether it's visual images, or whether it's photographs. So I think Heartifacts is opening up my mind to various ways I can tell the story, and I believe it'll help me land on the best way to tell the story, so it's representative of me and the story I'm looking to tell.
That's awesome. And would you like, what impact would you say is had on either your writing or in your putting together of the work that you have as a complete project? What impact would you say being in the community and either sharing your work or coaching with other people, what impact would you say that's had on your
Mhm.
project?
I think being in the community is a big factor, and is impacting the project I'm working on in a positive way. That would be one of the things I least expected from being community. I didn't know who else would be in the community at the time when I was joining. I knew we were all working on telling a personal story of some kind, so I had confidence that it would be a great group. But I think the group has exceeded my expectations, and what I'm getting from the group is exceeding my expectations. We're all working on different types of stories, different types of projects, but I think the commonality is we're all celebrating our inner voices on the page, and then getting to share our works with each other through readings. I'm learning from the other group members by their approach to the process and Heartifacts, and also the revelations they're having along the way. So it's nice to be in community while we're all going through a similar process, but embarking on different stories, it's different story journeys. There's much more commonality than I expected, long story short.
Oh, I love that. That's such an awesome answer. I was going to ask you what surprised you most about being in the program. Would you say,
I
yeah,
Yes, I would say it's the how much I'm getting back from the community and the conversations and kind of the blending of stories together. I think we're all sprinkling a little something on the other story. We're all adding to each other. Like iron sharpens iron. I think of that phrase where we're helping to sharpen each other's stories with our input and the feedback we're giving to each other, and also just the shared experience, kind of sharing the lessons learned as we're each going through the same experience.
that's awesome. Would you say anything shifted for you during Heart Effects, or is anything shifting for you?
Yeah, I think I I was someone in life who was always a good student, so I think I approached Artifacts in a similar way at the start where I was listening to the modules as everyone does, and I was taking notes and I was planning my week and planning my calendar. And I think being closer to the midway point now of the process, I think I had to remember what I loved about the Heart Soul Pen workshop in a way. I loved the feeling of freedom and freeing my voice and not filtering and not editing. So I remember that a couple weeks into the Heartifacts program, and I found ways to fold the modules and the timed writings I'm doing weekly as part of Heartifacts into my personal writing routine that I had already. So I'm finding kind of ease in the flow midway through Heartifacts. And I'm also, in a few of your modules, Robin, you mentioned holding things loosely. So I really take into that where I've been holding my outline loosely. I've been letting the story emerge and maybe additional stories that need to be told either in my book or in the poetry book or a future book. I'm holding things loosely and kind of by doing that, more things are emerging, more ideas, more creativity. Um, and I'm going back to that free feeling I first felt with Heart Soul Pen, and which made me want to do Heartifacts in the first place. So I think yes, the freedom of holding things loosely has been helping, I think, at this midway point.
I mean that's a great shift, and I would also say, do you think that part of it has to do with trusting your own creative compass?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. It's, yeah, trusting the creative compass and letting things emerge and trusting that what naturally comes up on the page or as even a thought or idea about a working title or about something to take away or to add to the book, I'm just trusting that my heart knows best, my inner voice knows best, and just going with that. Yeah, going with the flow.
That's awesome, Michelle. Is there I guess one thing I want to ask you is, I work with a lot of women who want to write a book, and they felt they may have been writing it, pieces of it throughout the years, or they've just been holding this feeling. And I guess I'd say, like, being halfway through the program and really seeing your book coming together, is there something that you would say about how it's changed not just you as a writer, but I mean your life, like
Yeah.
embracing that I'm putting this poetry book together?
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, I was always someone who kind of worked from my instincts ultimately, even if there's a lot of brain thinking in the middle. I've always tend to go back to my inner voice and my inner instincts. So I think Heart of Facts has been a good vessel for that and a good exercise for that. And I think working on this poetry book and this project has been very grounding for me. And that is kind of flowing into the rest of my life too, where I'm putting together a structured book about, for me, it's about a particular period of time where I worked on these particular poems. But it's part of me, it's part of a chapter of me that's existed. And I think Heartifacts is for me is very much a celebration of who we are as women, and then all the if we are books, all the chapters that have made us up until now, and all the future chapters that will come, future unwritten pages that will come. So for me, I'm celebrating a couple of chapters in the process of making this book, but knowing there's a current chapter and there's future chapters to come. And it's very grounding for me because I'm constantly trusting my intuition in the process. And I think it flows into your life because now you're just, I feel like I'm making decisions quicker and I'm more decisive about them because I'm not letting the thinking get in the way,
You're doing
which
just
gets a lot
great.
of us stuck. Yeah.
Yes, and what about, taking the time out of your life to do this?
Yes. Yeah. I think it helps that it's a structured program and I feel like I'm going to listen to at least one module a week and I'm going to work on that section that particular week. So I feel like I do schedule it. I time block in my calendar. I schedule hard effects time in my calendar. So it's a date with myself. It's a date with me to visit author Michelle and inner voice Michelle and to work on this project that's important to me. And as I'm seeing it come together, I was looking at the whole thing together this morning, like I mentioned. I was overjoyed to kind of see this thing that was an idea coming to life now, and even being at the place to sprinkle things in that I hadn't dreamed of before is exciting, is very exciting.
That's such a wonderful. I love that answer. Um, what is there a type of woman that you think would most benefit from Heartifacts? Is there a type of person, writer, someone who's considering telling their story that you would say would most benefit from the program?
My my instinctual answer is everyone and anyone, any woman that had a life and has had life experiences, and someone who's open to letting that life come to life, come together on the page, and come together in community, and someone who's open to sharing her voice and seeing the power of that and what that could do for her, and then for the project that she's working on.
That's great. I love that. Because I think that too often people want to tell their story, but they don't want to, they don't know how to make it a priority. Like obviously for Michelle's our famous time blocker, and this idea of scheduling in you time.
Mhm.
And do you feel like that was an obstacle for you, or for you you were ready?
Yeah, I think at this stage I was ready. I think I in practice I had for many years been scheduling time with myself. Sometimes it was 30 seconds or 3 minutes to write and or sometimes it was more. Over the years it's become more because I think habitually as you enjoy something, you want to keep doing it more and you want to carve out more time for it. So I think the trick is to make it rewarding. And for me, the reward is just showing up as I am and writing it on the page and that being enough and more than enough and getting to kind of celebrate that in the Heartifacts community and in other places. So I think it's a special gift to give yourself if you can, or if you're brave enough to do it. I think we all have 20 minutes in the week or two 10-minute time writings in the week. So it's just a matter of committing to it and sitting down to do it and then getting rewarded each time and then wanting to go back to it.
And what would you say to someone who's like, well, I'm afraid to be in community because I'm afraid my writing isn't good enough?
Mm. I would say that Robin is a trusted guide of your voice and it is a safe and nurturing place. Um, and I think once the fear can be put to the side, or once you come once, you will see that there's nothing to be fearful for. That is safe and nurturing, and you'll actually be encouraged to keep going and to keep doing. And then if you don't try, you will never know. So why don't you try?
That's great. And my last question here was, what would you say to a woman who feels like she has a story inside of her, but
Mhm.
doesn't know where to start? I think we covered
Mhm.
that, but I still, it's like I
Yeah.
think that that's the person that I'm speaking to really is someone who does know, they do know they have a story inside, something
Yeah.
that wants to be told, but it's fear, hesitation, and just all those obstacles, making the
Yeah.
investment in themselves that makes them feel like they're not worthy of it, or they're not real writers, or this isn't
Right.
a real project, that somehow they don't deserve the time and the
Yeah.
investment in themselves.
Yeah. I embarking on a book project or a project I understand could be very daunting. It's helpful in Heartifacts that everything is kind of in stair steps. It's kind of laid out for you, and you are in a supportive community to make it as nurturing and helpful as possible. As far as the fear, I go back to thinking about limiting beliefs, something we learned in Heart Soul Pen, and then and encouraged to still think about in Heartifacts, in our inner gremlin and that inner voice that speaks to us and holds limiting beliefs too. Um, I would say that those voices need to be banished as much as possible, and we need to remember the positive and all the good that we're doing. Audacity is something else that comes up. I think of that too, or um, like, why do I have the audacity to think I can create a book? There's authors on the shelves in Barnes and Noble and other places who have written these great works. What audacity do I have? Where I think I can do that too? And then I show up to a community of 5, 6, 7, 8 women at a time, and I'm reminded in those Zoom calls that we all have important stories to tell, and we all have the audacity. And then you realize that you only think that of yourself. Like, most people would say, of course, who hear you share your story would say, of course, you have a story in you. We all have stories in us that are worthy of sitting on a bookshelf in Barnes and Noble or another bookstore somewhere. We just had those people just had the courage to do it. So why am I any different? And also, if not me, who? If not now, when? So why not just do it?
Wow, that is such a powerful note of audacity. I love that. And why do the authors we see in Barnes and Noble are just the people that have the audacity to do it. And I have this
Yeah.
joke of saying to students, what's the difference between a writer who wants to write a book and a writer who does? They did it.
Right. Yeah.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. Yes. It's actually doing it.
It's just actually doing it.
Or
There's
you
no
live your whole life with this idea in your head or this want in your head and you never actually do it. Like that's to me, that's a sadder end of life than not just trying and not just doing it. And as you continue, life has taught me, history has taught me, as you embark to do something, you do complete it and you do finish it, and it's out in the world. So why not just start now and start working on it?
Well, I really cannot thank you enough for this powerful conversation. I so appreciate everything you shared, and I find your message so inspiring, and I hope other people will too. And I just appreciate so much that you're willing to come on and share about what it's been like for you in Heartifacts. Is there anything I didn't ask you or we didn't touch on that you'd want to share?
I think we touched on everything. I think, yeah, I've been surprised how working on this project has kind of rippled into all other areas of my life in a good way. And I look forward to continuing the Heart Effects energy forward in the program, out of the program, and life. And so thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to
Thank
work
you
with
so
you on
much,
it.
Michelle.
Yeah.